Now 10:03. It's now. At this time, I'll call the roll. Councilmember Abercrombie. Councilmember Beeman.
Here, sorry about that.
Councilmember Beeman. Councilmember Betts.
Present.
Councilmember Borges.
Present.
I am here. Gaddis.
Here.
Councilmember Hawkins.
Present.
Councilmember.
Here.
Councilmember Carpal.
Here.
Councilmember Medina.
Present.
Councilmember.
Present.
Councilmember Shrub.
Present.
Councilmember Skyers Thomas.
Present.
Councilmember.
Present.
Councilmember Venedor.
Present.
Councilmember Walton. You have a quorum. Wanted to just take a moment to welcome Councilmember Abercrombie back. You were definitely missed. And a huge congratulations on the newest addition to your family.
Since we last met, quite a bit has happened, and I'm just pulling up my notes here. Give me 1 second. Of course, when it's time for you to speak, you lose everything on your screen. Here we go. Awesome. Since we last have come together, quite a bit has taken place. The council and our staff, with a consultant, have finalized an 8-week intensive strategic planning process that essentially will guide the council's future. And I'll provide more details in the second half of my report. So if, Madi, if you'd be so kind, if you want to pull up the presentation, we'll jump right on in. Thank you. Next slide. All right, I'm going to quickly run through several things and spend the bulk of my presentation on the strategic plan. We'll talk through some themes, some focus, our operational model, and then I'll share with you next steps. But before we do that, I do want to provide a month in review in terms of what we've been doing around the SEC streets over here at 450. November, the SEC staff and I have been actively aligning internal systems to expedite the review of social equity and workforce development plans, provide staff training, increase communications with our social equity entrepreneurs, and reimagine our loan program with clarifying terms for social equity entrepreneurs and prospective applicants. We also hosted 2 virtual roundtables with our social equity entrepreneurs. I attended alongside Christina Diamond, the Connecticut Cannabis Chamber meetings. There were 2 of them to be exact, to provide updates on the status of the SEC, and frankly, hear directly from industry leaders to be more proactive and better serving our constituents. In terms of social equity and workforce development plans, you all are very aware that our team, we review these plans. We're charged with reviewing social equity plans and workforce development plans as part of the final licensure process. And so for the month of November, our success strategy team has reviewed and approved 6 social equity plans and 11 workforce development plans. And today, thank you so much for your support in approving 2 social equity joint ventures. I'll pause there for a second just to lend space to counselors if you have any questions in regards to our month in review activities. Through you, Madam Chair. It's probably hard to see with the presentation up. I'm not sure. Sorry about that. I want to drop that.
I don't see any hands.
Okay. I know some people do the physical hand and not the virtual. All right, cool. Moving right along. Next slide. We'll jump into our financials. Many of you have seen this, and I just want to make sure that I put it front and center. The balance of the Cannabis Social Equity and Innovation Fund as of November is a little over $50 million. The balance also supports the operations and programs of the Social Equity Council. As you all are well aware, you all voted on a proposed budget. Our current proposed budget for fiscal year 24-25 is at $10.2 million as shared on the screen. It is extremely important for this body. For those of you who are aware, I just kind of want to remind you all that our annual proposed budget for fiscal years 26 and 27, which supports our operations and programs, will still need to be appropriated by the legislature in this coming session. So there'll be a lot of work and coordination with many of our legislative leaders and making sure we support our proposed budget. And as you can see, there are estimated expenditures. You'll see that there on the second line. And also important to know is that we're drawing down from our $50 million, which brings us to our current Social Equity Innovation Fund balance at the end there of $34 million. Any questions regarding finances? Awesome. Next slide, please. Today, believe it or not, marks my 131st day on the job. And I am just as excited as I was then to tackle the organizational and the board or council alignments needed to support our mission, our vision, and the Social Equity Council's culture. In short order, the council and our staff, alongside Slalom, our consultant, have finalized an 8-week intensive strategic planning process that will guide the Social Equity Council's future. But before we dive into my executive summary of what you're reading, I want to take a moment, a point of personal privilege, to thank a few folks. Special thanks to our chairwoman, Andrea Comer, for your leadership, Andrea. Thank you so much. This is a tall task, coalescing a bunch of important people around a very important issue. And again, I can't thank you enough for your leadership. To the council, thank you for entrusting me with the opportunity to lead such an amazing organization. To my staff, thank you for embracing the reimagined work that we do here at the Social Equity Council. We have made substantial progress. And I'd also like to thank our co-chairs of the Strategic Planning and Development Committee, Councilors Andrea, that's Andrea Hawkins, and Daniel. Thank you so much for your leadership, your input, your guidance, your hard pause when necessary, and helping us to really remain true to the overall mission and vision of the Social Equity Council. Again, thank you. As you can see, our Strategic, we have to pause the meeting. Okay. I was told we've got to pause for a second. For whatever reason, our public link is not working.
Yeah, I've gotten some notes from members of the public that cannot access the meeting. They apparently had the same link. Okay, so I think that means we are good to resume.
Yes.
Okay, just for sake of process, and to those members of the public who have joined, our apologies for the technical difficulty that prevented you from being able to access our meeting. We will be reviewing the votes for that purpose. So I'm just gonna recall the rule really quickly. Councilman Abercrombie,
Here.
Council Member Beaman,
Present.
Member Betts,
Present.
Councilmember Borges.
Present.
I am here. Councilmember Gaddis,
Here.
Councilmember Hawkins,
Present.
Councilmember Jefferson,
Here.
Councilmember Karpowitz, Councilmember Karpowitz. Okay.
I'm here.
Council-
Thanks,
Thank
Chairman.
you. Councilmember Medina,
Present.
Councilmember Name,
Present.
Councilmember Shirley,
Present.
Councilmember Skyers Thomas,
Present.
Councilmember Valeries, Councilmember Beneder,
Present.
Councilmember Walton.
Present.
Awesome, we have a quorum. I have a motion to approve the November 12, 2024 meeting minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? I have a motion to approve equity joint venture application AMHF 0008286 for Nova Retail Connecticut LLC.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Let's see. May I have I'm sorry. I have a motion to approve equity joint venture application ACRE 0015694 for C3 EJV2 LLC.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Great. May I have a motion for a vote to approve the 2025 Social Equity Council meeting dates?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Great. And you'll notice that there are some of those, each quarter we have one in person. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Fantastic. All right. Back to you, E.D. McGee. Thank you.
I think Kelly has her hand raised.
Just quickly, I noticed that there still are no attendees from the public on the call.
Yeah, I mean, I think we have put it, I think Christina said she
Better
would put it
post
up.
it first, yeah.
Yeah, people
And
may
then she's
be.
gonna share it with whoever she knows regularly attends the meeting.
Okay, great,
And
because I know
also-
we're kind of going backwards a little bit, and if there's no one here from the public, I don't know if we need to go all the way back or not, but just bringing that to your attention in case you didn't realize.
Yes, no, I saw that there were no attendees. My guess is that people, after trying the link a few times, may have given up, but we will have the actual recording of the meeting posted.
And just as a note, council members, I did get another comment. They said that they just tried it a second ago and it still has an error that there's another meeting in progress. So presuming that it's getting smoothed out, but just wanted to share that.
Thank you, Councilmember Skyers Thomas.
Awesome.
Um,
Thank you. It reminds me, Kelly, of the first time you had OWS and we had to shift and changed the link because there were too many people in one meeting. So technology, which is why I'm so excited that we will have an opportunity to meet in person and humanize this work and feel each other in one space. For the public, for the sake of the public, I do want to just reshare my thanks because it's worth saying over and over and over again. Special thanks to our chairwoman, Andrea Comer, for her leadership, our council, the staff, and most importantly, our co-chairs, Andrea and Daniel, and that's Hawkins, Andrea Hawkins, for your support throughout this entire 8-week intensive strategic planning process. If you could just bring up the slide, I'll start with my executive summary and then we'll run through the plan. The State of Connecticut Social Equity Council, we partnered with Slalom, a consultant, to help us develop our 3-year strategic plan. Slalom, absolutely phenomenal in the work that they do, was able to leverage a great amount of information and input from those of you on this call, perspectives from the Social Equity Council and staff to help us identify and prioritize much of our work. As you all know, prior to my onboarding, there was an examination and audit of the Social Equity Council. A lot of things that were called out that we were aware of and working toward. And I am just so excited that we are here. We know that we're here to fulfill the mission of supporting the social equity entrepreneurs, but most importantly, making necessary reinvestments in the communities most impacted by the war on drugs. To that end, we were able to pull from our inner beings of reimagining our mission and our vision. And I'll just read it out loud because I think it's important. Our mission: to promote equitable economic prosperity by supporting social equity entrepreneurs and reinvesting in the communities most impacted by the war on drugs. Our vision is very clear. We want to see those communities most impacted by the war on drugs prosperous and thriving. Next slide, please. Our data and insights driven organization and the programs we administer are committed to the following initiatives to improve the following areas. And I'll read quickly through the 4 themes that you see on your screen. We all know that the Social Equity Council, we've experienced a great deal of tense culture. There's been significant leadership changes. We've had some negative press. As I've already mentioned, we had our comptroller's report, and it's created a lot of stress and mistrust within our organizations. And so that was one of the major takeaways and input that was received by our consultants. Number 2, the council, we all know, is comprised of working volunteers with multiple priorities, and staff has been an influx since the departure of our previous administration. And this has essentially created a lack of clarity around our roles, ownership of workflows, and ultimately decision-making. Thus, operating model was misaligned. And 3, one of the things that we pulled from many of our conversations and the consultants was able to glean from is we need to improve our applicant experience, what we will refer to as a end-to-end journey experience of many of our social equity entrepreneurs. We found that there was poor internal and external processes in terms of defining those systems. a lack of communication that led itself to inconsistent scoring of our workforce and our social equity plans. And so one of the things that we want to do in short order is really improve that applicant experience. The other piece is, and it runs across all 4 areas throughout our entire organization, we really want to create, define programs so that folks truly and fully understand the programs that we support and measure against the success. And so now that the mission has been aligned on the SEC, we need to, as a group, define how to objectively measure success and broadly support many of our programs as many of our social equity entrepreneurs journey throughout our system. Next slide. So here you have the 4 things essentially that I just described to you, and it's an opportunity for us to drill down a little bit more. But it's important that we understand together with the council as well as our staff and other stakeholders. We've identified 11 initiatives aligned with the 4 areas that you see on your screen: staff, council, community, and industry, all designed to achieve our new vision and our new mission. And so under our staff, you'll see that the staff is essentially the nuts and bolts of this work. And it's important that we structure our social equity staff to support and operationalize the 3-year strategic plan that we all have worked on. And so there are 4 activities under this particular initiative. And that is, we've got to develop or operationalize our operating model, of which I will share with you at the end of my presentation, to align with our strategic plan and our focus areas. You need humans to actually do the work. So it's important that we have clearly defined roles and expectations of them. Create an organizational model, our org chart, so that we know where our respective staff will be and be responsible for that workload that aligns with the operational or operating model and identifies current and future state staffing needs. It's easy to just say, hey, we need this, that person, and the other, but it's not so easy to clearly articulate to the legislature and, quite frankly, to you all, my board, the council, our needs if we don't have a clear, well thought out operating model that helps to identify our current and future state of staff needs. Reset our culture. The culture is really hard, and it's going to take time for us all to just jump in and really be a part of resetting our culture here. And so one of the things that we have to focus on is developing a supportive and collaborative working environment whereby each of our members respect each other. And not only do we respect each other, but we fully understand the mission of our organization. And then the 4th of this particular area of focus is establish program expertise across the board, right? And that's inclusive of our statute that essentially drives our everyday work. So that is our staff. The council, we want to be able to align the role of the council to the 3-year strategic plan. And there are 2 activities within this particular focused area, and that is to integrate our council and our staff across programs and ways of working to ensure expertise support with staff and partnership with our council leading subcommittee meetings. And secondly, align ways of working across council and staff with clear subcommittees and working norms. And I want to pause here because we had a really, really productive, intentional conversation during our readout with the consultants yesterday. And I want to be able to create an opportunity where our council, the council, you don't feel like you got to come in and you got to know everything. But because we will have people with experience, the expertise, will help to co-facilitate and co-lead within those subcommittees. So more so moving toward you all coming in as advisors, working alongside our staff to support our 3-year strategic plan. I do want to pause a second. Madam Chair, you mentioned something that was really, really crucial and critical yesterday with respect to the governance of the council and having to come back in and really help out with operations and now sort of getting back to governance. I don't know if you wanted to lend your voice to that to further explain and clarify ways by which we're working with the council.
Sure. What I had mentioned yesterday during the readout was just that we, started off as an operating board, really, because we were building and flying simultaneously when we first started this. There was somewhat of a shift to a governing board, and then had to shift back for a bunch of reasons back to sort of operations. And I think what we are hoping to get to is a point where we are in fact a governing board. I recognize that everyone on this council is a volunteer and is bringing their time and talent to this effort. But once we are able, and I think one of the examples that came up was during the conversation around our loan program, having significant, there was a great conversation between Jennifer Edwards and Councilmember Borges around, Jennifer had some really fantastic ideas, and Councilmember Borges was able to sort of voice how to operationalize some of those ideas. So I think that's a great example of how we might be able to lend our expertise in whatever ways while allowing the staff to do what they do.
Awesome. Thank you, Chairwoman. Just moving along across our areas of focus here, we want to really align on our priorities within our disproportionately impacted areas and our highest impact focus areas within the community column here. And we all know reinvestment is why we exist. Reinvesting back into the DIAs is extremely important to the Social Equity Council, our board, you, the council, and the legislature. And so one of the things that is important to call out is defining our strategy and guidelines for community reinvestment focus to align the path forward. Second is to establish success criteria and measurement for reinvestment within the program to ensure our goals are achieved. And we're able to be transparent. We're able to report out to the various stakeholders. But most importantly, and chief among them, we have impact, and we're able to tell a story regarding our impact. Within industry, it's a really huge bucket. So while you see define end-to-end cannabis experience and align programs to support them, this is the nuts and bolts. And so we want to develop an end-to-end entrepreneur journey that includes all touch points, literally from the website, their engagement with DCP, right over to SEC and throughout the entire process. And so we want to identify those touch points, those gaps for improvement, to ensure that the experience of our stakeholders is felt and that they have a great experience. Customer service is extremely important. The restructure, of our loan program, as already mentioned, to remove the barriers that many of our clientele has been faced with, and foster economic growth, essentially. And then lastly, develop a comprehensive workforce development approach. Really, really excited that we are able to work alongside interagencies like Office of Workforce Strategies and others, DECD, to support us in this work. So we're not creating a new, but we are identifying ways by which we are able to leverage and customize our services to support the industry and to enhance job opportunities, quite frankly, within underserved communities, our DIAs. And as you can see at the bottom, our metrics, it runs across staff all the way to industry in terms of ensuring that all of our initiatives and programs have specific trackable metrics. And our culture, we want to prioritize open communication, continuous learning, and mutual respect, ensuring an inclusive and positive work environment. So those are our 4 focus areas and a few statements, and then you'll see all of our initiatives thereafter. I will say this, a lot of what is being called out, we're working on it. We've met with many of our council members. Shout out to our finance chair, our subcommittee chairperson, Councilor Avery Gaddis, and Fanita Borges, Ed Shirley, for their support around reimagining our loan program. And, another special shout out to DECD, Kyle Abercrombie and his team assisting us throughout the underwriting process. It really takes, as my family would say, a village to support a lot of our work. And so the interagency support has been phenomenal. It's been felt, and we really, really appreciate all of your support. I want to pause just for a second, open up the floor. Anybody have any questions regarding staff, council, community, industry? Please take a moment to engage if you're okay with that, Madam Chair.
Absolutely. And I think it would be helpful for the council to receive the full strategic plan so they can review it as well and provide any additional questions or context, comments.
Absolutely. Ellie?
I just wanted to state that thank you very much for the process that you engaged everyone in. I was able to attend 2 of the meetings, and yesterday being able to get a full overview of all of the hard work that went in by the staff and the supporting council members. It's very detailed and I think aligns very appropriately to the strategies and the context of how we would love to see this work move forward. So I just want to thank you, Brandon and Chairwoman Andrea Comer, for your leadership and participation in that process.
Councilmember Name?
Thank you. Yeah, I just echo Kelly's sentiments on this. I mean, it's really great to see how quickly you all were able to pull this together. It's like I was catching up on what happened in the last session and the next one was already there. So I know a lot of hard work went into this, and I'm really excited to see us have this plan. We can follow it. I did have a question on, is there a view that kind of shows timeline wise? I mean, there's a lot here, right? And so I'm assuming we can't tackle all of it at once, because I know how much work it's going to take to get all of this done. So I don't know if I'm jumping the gun there or if that's in the detailed plan, but that would definitely be helpful to understand sort of how all of these items prioritize against one another almost.
What I will say is yes, yes, and yes. Madi, if you want, maybe let's pull up just not the elaborate because it requires so much context and we will need another hour or 2. And so you all will have your fingertips on the entire report from page 1 all the way to 37 or 8 or however many pages there are. But it is broken out in terms of our roadmap ahead. And also it spells out which of our staff should be assigned to each of these activities. So it's well detailed in terms of recommendations, and it's broken out into quarters. So, quarter 1, 2, 3, 4, 25, 26, 27. And again, I just have to say, we don't have the luxury of waiting until, quarter of 26. Some of these things we've got to really be aggressive and assertive about on executing our work. So as you can see here, here's a recommended initiative sequencing based on priority. And I want to call out, again, it takes human beings to support this overall strategic plan. And so we're prioritizing our staff and making sure we have an operating model that support the overall operations of the Social Equity Council. So that you'll see in quarter 1. And then you notice there's a key at the very top to the right of your screen. It'll show sort of the design and transformation phase. Then we have a chance to kind of measure against success. Do we need to adjust? And then you kind of continue on monitoring that particular initiative. So we've got it mapped out, counselors, and you will see a copy. You will have a copy of it so that you all will be on the same page. But that is a great question. I went back and forth internally with the team, like, do we share all 70 or whatever, how many pages these are on our meeting? And you guys are looking like, Brandon, we only said an hour and some change. So you will have a copy in short order.
Appreciate it. No, that looks great. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Madi, if you can just bring up our last and final slide, and then I will be available for questioning. And then our co-chairs, if it's okay with Andrea, our chairperson, I'd love to just share some space with you if you want to give any final comments on the actual strategic planning. But here you see our operational model drill down. This is not our organizational chart. It is an operational model so that you can see how our world, where we exist and how things flow. You can see across the board that the Social Equity Council, you oversee our work. And we appreciate it. And I just want to call it out. And then if you drill down a little bit more, you'll see that there is our executive sort of a team here. You have, or rather not our executive team, excuse me, you have sort of our 3 main areas. Obviously, our vision, our mission drives our work. And you see within our community side, we have our community reinvestment and our community stakeholders. If you go to the right of the screen, you'll see our industry. You notice that we're not saying social equity applicants, but we've shifted to social equity entrepreneurs. So we want our C experience. That is all a part of our industry, our loan program, as well as our workforce development. And then there at the bottom, you have our operations, our executive team, and our legal and compliance. And again, this is not our organizational chart, but you can see sort of our operational model here that will help us with our work. All right, so I'm done. I'll turn it over to Andrea Hawkins and Daniel, if you all have any final comments, and then I'll share next steps.
Yeah, no, so I think the process was quite efficient. I really appreciated making sure that there was good collaboration between the staff and I'll call us the board. So I thought that was fantastic. I want to just kind of double down on what our chairperson has said, Andrea, in that, right, every business has an evolution and the Social Equity Council is no different. And so what is starting to evolve to me feels like we're definitely moving in the right direction from that entrepreneurial startup phase to starting to stabilize and scale and grow and become more efficient with how we do what we do. So I'm just really pleased that this feels like the foundation for that continued growth, and just was very appreciative to have been a part of the process and have a chance to meet so many folks. So that's all I'll say.
Thank you. Daniel?
Sorry, I can't join you visually, but I just echo Andrea's thoughts, and this is really promising, both in terms of all the work you've done internally on building and rebuilding, which you've emphasized throughout this meeting. Brandon, just really deeply appreciate and know how essential that is to the work going forward. And then, of course, the clarification on core principles and metrics so that we know we are reinvesting in ways that lead to wealth building in these places. So I just, on both fronts, just echo Andrea's thoughts and thank you all for this.
Thank you. And again, thank you all for your patience at the top of the meeting, ironing out some kinks. We'll be sure that you all have live and effective links, both for the public as well as our board, our council. But next steps, I will share with all of you open office hours as we operationalize many of the key activities from the strategic plan. It'll be broken out into themes. So we'll have community reinvestment. We'll have our loan program, and we'll also talk a little bit about many of our social equity and workforce development plans in terms of reimagining that process as well. But a lot of what will drive our work are key activities pulled from the strategic plan, of which you all will have an opportunity to review. Oh, and I missed one other committee, workforce development. That's going to be extremely important. So Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, all of the above. I love you all, but the work starts today. a lot of work ahead. And again, thank you, Madam Chairwoman Comer, for your leadership and your support. Can't thank you enough.
Thank you, E.T. McGee. And so to my council colleagues, this is definitely going to feel like Groundhog Day, but our general counsel has requested, now that we have public participation, to ensure that we are compliant with our FOIA rules, that we do it one more again. So the
entire meeting?
Not the entire meeting. No. This is only going to be for votes.
Oh, okay.
Folks have, making oxygen choices. All right. So I am going to start off with approval of our November 12th, 2024 minutes. Have a
So
motion.
moved.
Second.
Awesome. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Great. Motion to approve equity joint venture application AMHF 0008286 for Nova Retail CT LLC.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Any abstentions? Great. Vote to a motion to approve equity joint venture application ACRE 0015694 for C3EJB2 LLC. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. May I have a motion to approve the 2025 Social Equity Council meeting dates?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? I think I got everything. So now public is aware of the business that we covered. We also had a review of our strategic planning process. This meeting will be recorded, so folks will be able to hear the details of that. And again, I don't know if any of our committee chairs had anything to report. Did want to just give some quick space for that. Seeing, hearing none.
Madam
Councilman
Chairwoman,
Gaddis.
move to adjourn.
May I have a second?
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Hi.
Aye.
Wishing you all a very lovely holiday season. Thank you so much for your patience.
Same.
Happy holidays,
Thank you.
everyone.
Happy holidays. Take care.